And this is the latest on the Venezuela-United States saga. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has laid down the law for Caracas. Rubio says Washington will work with Venezuela only if the existing administration makes the right decisions. His remarks comes a day after Donald Trump announced that Venezuela will be run by America. U.S. Secretary of State further clarified that the U.S. will judge Venezuelan authorities by the choices they make. Rubio said that all options are open if concerns on drugs and migration are not addressed. He added that congressional approval was not needed as the Operation Absolute Resolve was not an invasion. On securing the Venezuelan oil fields, Rubio has said that no oil will move in or out of Venezuela until the changes are made in the governance of the industry.
An alternative to that, and here's the alternative, and that is an oil industry that actually benefits the people, that actually goes to the benefit not of people, of the people, not just 2 or 3 or 5 people who are stealing it, and certainly not to Iran or any of the other sanctioned entities that we're going after. Ultimately, this is not about securing the oil fields. This is about ensuring that no sanctioned oil can come in and out until they make changes to the governance of that entire industry.
Dr. Kadira Pethiagoda is a geopolitics expert, former Australian diplomat and former U.S. presidential candidate. He's now joining us live from London. Dr. Pethiagoda, Happy New Year and thanks very much for your time.
Happy New Year. I'll just clarify, I was not a presidential candidate. I was an advisor to one.
All right, we'll make that correction. I want us to decode the statements made by Trump and Rubio. Trump said a group of individuals is currently designating individuals in Venezuela who are going to work with America to govern the country. Then Rubio just said the United States is going to work with current Venezuelan leaders if they make the right decision. No mention of names. What do you read from this?
Yes, well, I think it all really depends on how much the new leaders of Venezuela acquiesce to the US, but also on how much the public actually trust that the leadership were not involved in Maduro's kidnapping. Because what the Western media usually doesn't tell you is that Maduro's government was a popular government. The Chavista revolution lifted millions of people out of poverty before the US crippling sanctions destroyed the economy. So the new leaders face, I guess, a choice. They either face more pressure from the US, which they've already been facing and which Rubio articulated, or they can submit to the US and face potential civil war because you have large elements of the military that support the revolution and you have large elements of the population that support it. So what really appears to have happened is a characteristic Trump compromise where he gives the US military-industrial complex some taxpayer-funded action in terms of the military attack that they undertook. The Miami lobby gets its pound of flesh and Trump gets a photo opportunity, but the regime in Venezuela largely remains intact. Because if you see, the main point of removing Maduro would have been to exploit Venezuela's resources, as Rubio claims they want to. And he also alluded to shifting their foreign policy and obviously weakening China and Russia. But if neither of these things really change, then all we have is a show that's more of an exit strategy for Trump.
Dr. Pethiagoda, the court in Venezuela ordered Vice President Delcy Rodriguez to take charge. She has already done that. President Trump said he doesn't have a problem with her, even though she's from the same cloth as Maduro. But Edmundo Urrutia's name has been fronted by several leaders, including President Macron. What do you predict comes next for Venezuela?
Yeah, so once again, I think the leadership of Venezuela will have to tread a very careful path. So Delcy Rodriguez, for example, the vice president, I would say is the most likely contender because she's someone who is with the popular Chavista regime, and she has been giving some really fighting words after Maduro was kidnapped. And so she'll have to, I guess, decide how much she wants to acquiesce to the US or how much she wants to resist. Opposition figures, like obviously Trump already dismissed Maria Mercado, the very unpopular Nobel Peace Prize winner. But I guess it really all depends on the army and the masses and whether they trust Delcy enough, whether they trust other Chavista figures or opposition figures enough to let them take charge. Because what usually happens is when a foreign country intervenes, then the population really circles the wagons and aligns behind the existing leadership. So yeah, it really remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen. We'll see how this unfolds in the coming future. But Dr. Pethiagoda, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
Thank you very much.